black supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to talk about optimizing your consciousness hardware. I got to speak on this. It's very important. And I want to use hardware as an example so that you understand how consciousness works. The hardware is a certain part of a computer. You got the software, which you can download software onto your computer. But what's the hardware? The hardware is the capacity or the capability of the actual computer. How many gigabytes does your computer have on it? The disk space, the memory that it actually holds, the space that it holds to be able to function in order to run softwares, run programs, and for you to be able to navigate through the system. So the hardware capacity is important. The hardware's availability for usage is very important. Now, there's some things that's actually taking up your hardware that limits you from having the ultimate virtual or cyber experience. In this case, it would be consciousness experience. Your memory is almost completely being used. This memory is, a lot of it is residual memory, like you ain't empty the trash. So it's old imprints. What I'm calling, your phantom self is taking up a lot of space on your hard drive. You're trying to save your perception or your image of who you used to be and the image of your life. You're still trying to save that. And at the same time, you're trying to download new stuff, new programs, new software, and then you have a virus that's running on your computer called white supremacy. So your hardware is all used up. So in order for you to get the superior function out of yourself, out of your experience, to navigate through the cyber world, the internet, whatever, then you have to optimize your hard drive. You have to clean your hardware, free up disk space. You also have to defragment your drive. Now, the brain really is a metaphor for the hardware. The mind is what the brain processes. And stuff can be saved in the mind too, but it still has to be processed by the brain, by the hardware. For example, you can save messages on Facebook. And Facebook is not even a software, it's an online system. You can save messages on Instagram. Instagram per se, if you're using a phone, it's an app. So it's somewhat like a software. But if you're using Facebook on a computer, you can just be on it online. And you can get messages. And you can store messages in the mind. So the mind has space too. I want you to understand this. But the brain sees the messages that exist within the mind. The mind is bigger than the brain, but it still needs the brain, the human brain, the central nervous system. It needs the brain for you to be able to see or perceive even what is in the mind. The mind is on the infinite other side of you, but the brain is the conduit. It's like your hardware has the software on it, or it allows you through the operating system to see the internet. The internet is kind of like the mind. You can save stuff there. You can go to several pages. You can travel. The internet is like the astral realm. You can travel through it. But you can't access the internet if your hard drive is not optimized, because you don't have memory. Your disk space is full. You got too many programs. You've saved too many movies. Too many files. That's what's happening every day with people. What they consider to be their self is an old program and an old file that's taking up their disk space, which is limiting how they can navigate their mind. The mind is infinite. You can create in the mind through imagination. You can create new profiles in your mind, new images. You can do art like Adobe Photoshop. So the mind is infinite, but you need the brain to access the mind. The brain is connected to your nervous system and to how your body functions as a whole. So now, you can't go into the infinity of your mind and travel there to create and manifest and to discover new opportunities, to get new information and to get new downloads. Your computer, your operating system is moving too slow because your disk space is full of stuff that you don't want to let go. Sentimental events, old friends, old situations, old circumstances, things in the past. You won't let these things go. So they're using, let's say, 30% of your disk space is just old shit in the past. High school friends, people you went to school with, who you thought you was, what you used to be into, where you used to live at. That your system has to process all that information before your system can even completely turn on. You have to process all this shit before you can even think about the astral realm or how infinite the mind is, before you can even create anything, before you can even use the tools within your consciousness. Your hardware is full. It's full. You have to let shit go. You can't keep processing that shit. It's slowing down your computer. You're trying to process old relationships. Why this go right? I should have did this. It should have been like that. It could have been like this. And then this illusion of who you were. You're processing that shit constantly and trying to make that fit into now, and you're just eating up this space. You have to let that shit go. That's 30%. Then you got a whole nother 20%. That's just you talking about history and trying to trace your lineage and trying to geographically project yourself in history to understand how that antiquated moment relates to right now. So you got history tapes and history videos and just history of correlations that you're trying to make, and you done saved all these files. And that shit's slowing down your system. So you can't even navigate creatively in the present moment to manifest the reality that you want and manifest your destiny, because you still are in history, his story in the past. It's the story of your phantom self, your old self. That shit was relevant because you was trying to create an identity out of an historical understanding of who your people were. That's eating up your disk space. It's so many files on that. Then you have a virus on your disk space called white supremacy. And it's scripted into your disk space where it got false rules. It looks like other programs, but it's the limited version of those programs. But it clones other programs. And it limits what you can do as you're navigating within your mind, which is the true internet. As you're traveling within the astral world, as you're traveling between in the infinite realm, you have a false script that's limiting what you could see in these programs and what you can see in the quantum realm of your infinite imagination. It's a certain code that's giving you a lot of advertisement and projecting a lot of false ideas to you while you're traveling within a realm that is really infinite. It's a virus that is projecting limitation to you. And it's making you see things in a limited way that works for the survival of that virus on your hardware. So you got to get rid of that virus. That's taking up a lot of your disk space and is actually slowing you down to be able to create your reality right now, to manifest what you desire, and to move into the highest version of your highest vision of who you are right now. It is literally blocking you and making you see limit, and it is actually projecting fear. You know how them viruses say, call now to get this virus off your computer. If not, everything's going to get erased and your computer's going to shut down. You have to call now. It's actually a fear tactic. The white supremacy virus that blocks you and limits you, and it actually gives you a false future. So the future that it's actually giving you is now taking up even more of your disk space. Because now you're way in a future that's just nothing but a bunch of files. It's not really the future. It's a bunch of files and downloads and programs and apps. Not the real future. But a storage folder called future that's taking up a hell of a lot of your space. And the virus program is running off of that. So look at your disk space. You got the history. You got your past relationships, a whole bunch of shit you don't want to let go of. Who you used to be, where you live at, what used to be valuable to you. A lot of pain, a lot of people you just won't forgive. You just won't let go of shit. And you keep rehashing that, keep opening up them file folders. It's slowing down your disk space, and it's limiting your ability to navigate within an infinite realm, because you're actually within an infinite realm. The mind is in an infinite realm of creation, of manifestation. The present moment is infinite, but you need your disk space to be able to run your RAM, your ready and accessible memory, to run that shit now. It's going to take all your RAM space for you to function at an optimal level, to really take advantage of the present moment, to really go into instantaneous manifestation. It's like you working on something on your computer on Adobe Photoshop, or you in Adobe Premiere doing some video editing, but you're editing that shit slow. You can't instantly manifest your idea because you don't have the fucking disk space. Because your disk space is full. And then there's a virus in there telling you you can't do this anyway. And this is the reality of the limits of your programs. This is the reality of the limits of your operating system. Pop-ups is blocking your ability to even view how you're navigating through the infinite realm of your imagination, of mind, of consciousness. So you got to clear up your disk space. Stop trying to define the past and understand the past and correlate the past as it relates to now. That's eating up your disk space. Trying to find value and definition in old folders and old files as though you cannot create something now. That you can navigate through the internet if your computer is functioning optimally. because you have the space that you need. You have to open up space in your consciousness for the things that you want to manifest in your life. And to have space, you have to actually erase certain shit. Not only do you got to let go, not only do you got to forgive, not only do you have to forget, you actually have to erase that shit off of your computer. But you know what? The virus is kind of tricky though, because it makes you think you erase certain shit, but it just keeps coming back up because it's going into a false trash folder. So the shit keeps coming back up. It's not being properly erased, because then you got to get the virus off your computer. You got to remove the virus. You need this space to function optimally. You have 24 hours in a day. How are you functioning optimally through that 24-hour cycle? How much time are you spending in the past, way back in history, or with fear of the future, and not realizing and optimizing the present moment that you live in? You have to free up your hardware. You can't get no new downloads. And if you do get the new downloads, you can't even use them because you don't have the disk space. So they're just sitting there. You try to open up the programs, the shit crash immediately, because you will not free up the disk space. A lot of these old relationships have to go. You're going to have to forgive, forget, and erase. You're going to have to start over. And some, to even get rid of the virus, you try to use antivirus software and all that, but that's another virus, because it got the word virus in it. So now you got to reset shit. You got to restore your consciousness to its original point. Just like your hard drive, your operating system, you have to system restore it to its original innocent point. Because when you restore to that point and you erase everything out off of it, you have optimal use of your hardware and you have all of the space. And now you can download as much as you want and assimilate as much as you want, and you can use these editing softwares as fast as you need to use them instantly to create what you want. So now I'm pushing you to do a consciousness system restore, to be reborn. That's what rebirthing is about. Being born again. It's a system restore of your consciousness, because you've been so corrupted by this world through a virus that has been put on your hardware. You've been corrupted by this world to see what they want you to see, when they want you to see, and how they want you to see it. And it's blocking your creativity. It's like you got writer's block. And the shit is moving too slow. You could actually move at light speed. You can move fast. You got 5G access. You on a MacBook. Or not even that, you on an i15. So you got the speed. You got dual and what do you call it? Quad cores. So you can do it, but your disk space is full. You have to optimize your hard drive and set a system restore. So when we talk about becoming a new person and dying in the matrix, we're talking about erasing all those file folders, erasing all that baggage, clearing your cache, because all of this is slowing you down. You have to clear your history. You have to clear all that shit. And you have to be made anew right now. You have to be born as a new being right now, in the present moment. And while you're trying to study history to get deep and to get spiritual, What you're calling history is just a conceptualization of reality. When you clear your hard drive, then when you function at an optimal level within the present, your psychic ability will awaken. Your clairvoyance will awaken. All the abilities that you want to go back in history to study and to understand how we did the great things in history, you can do them right now if you can function optimally in the present moment. But history is a trap. That's another video. What we're calling history and historical information is a trap. It's a trap as to limiting yourself to how you grew up, to your childhood. That's another trap. And the people you knew, and try to define yourself by your parents and what they did, and justify your negative habits and negative behavior based on what they did. And you're living in a box. You have to erase all that and reset and system restore yourself. You are a spiritual being having a human experience, but the human can limit you. So the human must be optimized. The human aspect of yourself must be optimized in a way so that you can travel through infinite consciousness, because being a human is a vehicle. This vehicle is a perspective. It's a way to conceptualize and it's a vehicle of perception. It's a tool of being a human is a tool of perception that allows you to navigate through infinite consciousness. But you build up something called the ego, which weighs you down and slows down how fast you can travel through infinite consciousness. And that ego is all the file folders that's on your hardware. You got to get rid of that. You won't even see the full capacity of what you're able to do. But you can do it now. It can be done now. But you have to free up the space to do it. What's in a lot of them folders and stuff within your consciousness is a lot of beliefs, a lot of superstition, a lot of religion, a lot of opinions that aren't yours, a lot of opinions being casted off as facts, other people's experience that you live vicariously through, and you saved it. You just saved that shit. It's not based on your real and actual experience, because infinity exists for you. Infinite possibility exists for you. There is no limits or no definitive way your life can go or end up based on anything that has ever happened. Get rid of those folders. Get rid of that virus that's limiting you on your computer. System restore your shit. What black supremacy is allowing you to do as a melanated being is a system restore. It's sending you back to the original consciousness, to the original state, the pure state of mind. It's resetting your melanated consciousness. It's not trying to fill you with historical and metaphorical ideas. It's not trying to fill you up with narratives and stories where you weigh down, where you cannot navigate through this infinite consciousness that you exist in right now. You live in infinity right now. Infinity is your address. You're there now. So you don't have to go back into the past or save something to have an artificial experience of the past. If you want a real experience of the past, then step into the present. Because where you are at right now is where the past existed at. You're standing in all that the past could have been, on the only place that the past could have been and could have really existed. You're there now. But while you're standing there, you're looking through file folders. And through the way you conceptualize history, you're actually having an out-of-body experience. But I want to make your greatness a present experience for you. Right now, I want it to be a present experience for you. I don't want it to be an out-of-body. I want it to be just a conceptualization, or you pondering or entertaining these ideas by just going through different file folders. I want to optimize your system so that your operating system can function at the greatest capacity where you can navigate expediently through infinite consciousness to manifest total black divinity for yourself right now. But you got to clear your hardware. And that's going to be the hardest thing for you to do. Because you think all that is you. You're attached to all that. You believe that those file folders are you. And that if you lose those folders, you lose some part of yourself. But your infinite being and the hardware is a tool that you may experience the infinity that is your consciousness. There is life after the death of all of that unnecessary and unneeded information, perception, projection, programming. There's life after that. And that life after that is in the present. It's where I want to get you to. You want the information from the past? You want to know how they did it? Optimize your hardware right now. Clear that hard drive. Free up some space for your operating system to be able to process infinite possibility and divine instant manifestation. I hope y'all get this metaphor. I hope y'all grasp this. Free up your mind. Free up your mind. You're holding on to too much that's blocking you from being reborn right now into perfection, into supreme manifestation. This King Noble Black Supremacy signing out.